Okay, a warm welcome to the respected judges, lecturers, contestants, and participants to the IUMW level A-FSL pitching session. I am Liana Natasha from the BA team. Today we have top 5 groups, Gold Diggers, the Green Foundation, Earthlings, PSKC, and the Sparkling to present their case study solution. Congratulations to the top 5 groups for making it to this stage of the competition. You all did a very good job, and I'm sure you had impressed the judges with your videos. We also have an additional group of foundation students, Team Yay, who will also be presenting today. We are eager to watch and listen to your presentations, and we would love to learn more about the solutions that you came up with that are related to the SDGs. These groups will be evaluated by our honorable judges. Okay, I would like to very quickly introduce you to our judges. Okay, we have technologist Dr. Muhammad Izal Ismail, who is currently working at UMW Innovation and R&D Centers in Berhad as Head of Product Innovation. Next, we have Miss Jessica Shore, all the way from University of Wales, Trinity St. David, where she is a program manager for undergraduate business programs in Carmarthen Business School. Last but not least, we have Professor Dr. Mahadi from IUMW. He is a professor of communication, technology, and film studies. Please say hello to our judges. All right, before proceeding with the presentations, I would like to remind that each group only has 10 minutes to present, followed by a 5 minutes Q&A session where the judges will give out their comments on your presentation and ask any relatable questions regarding your solutions. We encourage all of you to switch on your cameras to support your friends who are presenting. And to those presenting, you're required to switch on your cameras, especially during your presentation. And to all the audience, please remain muted throughout the entire session to avoid any disruptions. We are also live streaming this on our YouTube page, IUMW BAA. We'll put the details in the chat box. And you can rewatch the session once it's uploaded. Please stay until the end for a quick photo session. Those who are taking the COCO subject might need to add that in your reports, so you might want to stay until the end. And we will also announce the prizes for the top 3 winners at the end of the session. Okay, now without further ado, I would like to call the first group to present their case study solution. Please welcome the group Gold Diggers. Gold Diggers, the stage is now yours.
Okay. A very good afternoon to the honorable judges, lecturers, and participants. We are from the group Gold Diggers. Before I proceed, I would like to introduce my group members, starting from myself. I'm Trina Kaur, and I played the role of Human 1 in our short video. Next is Stephanie, who played a role as Human 2, Yasha as the affected sick fish, and Brandon, the bad guy who dumps toxic waste. Next slide, please. Next slide. Okay. Today, my group members and I will be presenting a case study on the Environmental Quality Act, EQA of 1974, to prevent and control pollution and set up a system to punish those who recklessly harm the environment. It is a 46-year-old law. The question that we will be answering today is, how could an environmental law reform on EQA 1974 rectify the major issue of equality between pollution and water cuts? Next, I will be explaining a little about the meaning of water cut in simple words. Water cut is defined as receiving less water than usual or not getting access to water supply at all due to reasons like pollution. Moving on to the next slide. All right. In our presentation today, we will be explaining about why water cuts happen, how do humans and life below water are affected, and lastly, the solution to prevent this from happening. Now I'll be passing the slides to Stephanie.
Good evening, everyone, especially to the judges and everyone who's watching. So today I'll be talking about the issue of the waste being dumped from the factories. So my first point will be why do they dump their waste into, sorry, that was interruption. So why factories dump their waste into the rivers and water reservoirs is the factories can reduce their costs. Can I have the next slide, please? Okay, factories can reduce their costs. How factories can reduce their costs? By dumping their waste into the rivers or water reservoirs. Toxic waste can have to be filtered before disposing it. Filtration costs certain amount of money to dump it. So some factories dispose their raw waste into the rivers or water reservoirs illegally. For an example, when we go to a mechanic shop to get our oil changed, they can't dispose it into the drain or into the bin. They can get summons if they actually dispose it into the rivers or the normal drains. So instead, they either can recycle the engine oil into a recycled engine oil or filter it and dispose it. So the second one will be they turn waste into transparent so it's less noticeable. Factories nowadays add some type of chemical into the raw waste so that it turns transparent. The reason why is that it is less noticeable for the public and also the authority so they don't get caught. The third point will be the residents receive dirty water supply. Disposing the toxic waste into the water reservoir leads into dirty water supply for the residents around the area, resulting frequent water cuts. The fourth one is it will cause sickness and negative impacts. It also causes sickness and negative impacts, for an example, diseases like cholera and lead poisoning. Not only that, disruption in daily activities thus leads us into disruption in our daily activities. Next, I'll be passing the slide to Yasha. Sorry, I'll be passing the slide to Trina.
Thank you. As we can see in this slide, I have added a few articles regarding water cuts that have been happening very frequently in Malaysia itself. In the year 2020 and 2021, water cuts in the Klang Valley and Selangor have been occurring for a consecutive 8 months period, which is considered very bad. Looking at the bottom article on the right side, the majority of water disruptions in 2020 are caused by illegal waste and industrial pollution. According to the Straits Times, on the 4th of October, 309,000 consumers were heavily affected due to the water cut. State authorities have, however, traced the source of the pollution to an industrial zone. To conclude this, my group has chosen this issue as it may help spread awareness on how we can help in sustaining clean water supply at all times. Next, I'll be passing it to Yasha.
Good evening, everyone. I'll be talking about how are we affected by water cuts and also the pollution. So for my first point, when water cut happens, we are actually forced to buy water from stores. So since there is low water or non-existent due to water cuts, we are forced to fork out extra money to purchase these products from the stores, which can be extremely costly, especially during this current situation like the pandemic, where everyone is struggling to make money and all that. When water cuts happen, it can be extremely costly. So moving on to my next point, daily activities cannot be carried out smoothly. So since there is a lack of water, we are not able to carry out our daily activities like taking a shower or even washing dishes. And also, if let's say you have a pet and you have to clean up after it, it's hard to do that. So it affects the whole motion of the day, I can say. So for my third point, we face sanitation issues. An example of this is that we are not able to wash our dishes since there is no water. This will lead to pests such as houseflies or cockroaches to breed, which is extremely unhygienic. So this is not something that can be taken lightly, as it may cause us humans serious health issues. Which brings me to my last point. Our source of food will be affected. So what I meant by this is due to the pollution of waters, the marine life such as fishes and crabs and so many other stuff can be extremely harmful for us to consume. This is because these animals, they consume whatever toxic waste that has been dumped into the ocean, or rivers, which is not safe for us to eat. Yep. So that's all from me. Thank you. I'll be passing it on to Brendan.
Good afternoon to our judges and our fellow friends. I am Brendan and I'll be explaining about the solutions. Among the solutions that we have are such as having factories purchase a specific machine or system that can be used to filter or clean harmful and toxic substances. By using something like the new membrane water treatment, which is said to be able to reduce toxic waste by at least 90%. The next point, factories should consider reusing certain substances. The substances that can be reused are such as materials like pesticides, herbicides, and many more. These substances can be reused to save the factory money and reduce pollution. Next, we could also help to clean the rivers when the toxicity level has decreased. This includes by picking up trash to clearing away sludge that has been contaminated. Lastly, the government could issue a fine to the factory or be forced to shut down if they do not practice the methods stated above. By doing this, a factory will be forced to either pay for a lower cost of the methods to reduce pollution or pay a larger fine. And now I shall pass it on to Trina.
Finally, we have come to the conclusion. We as a team have learned to never dump waste into any river or water reservoir or even lakes to help in ensuring a healthy source of water. Everyone should be a responsible citizen and know their role in maintaining a clean water supply. As we all know, water pollution leaves a huge negative impact, not only on us, but also on the marine ecosystem. In order to live a better tomorrow, every citizen should join hands and obey the laws set by the government. Thank you.
Okay, that was a good presentation. Now, judges, would you like to give some comments or questions to the group? We can start with Dr. Iza.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, okay. Thank you, Gold Diggers, for the, I think it's good presentation. I think start with Trina, Stephanie, Yasha, and Brandon, right? Okay, the flow, the storyline is very smooth. Okay, start with the problem statement, with the main cause, how are we affected, and solution. It's a very smooth storyline. But I think for the solution, maybe all of you mentioned, but specifically for the factory itself, right? To make we need a specific system to filter the effluent prior to discharge to the river. And then another one is had fine to the factory. Can you give one example for the public, how we can make a solution for the public or for the citizens to make sure that there is no pollution to the river?
Can one of you answer Dr. Iza's question?
Can you please repeat the question?
Okay, the solution, because your solution is specifically for the factory, right? Okay, first is the factory need a specific system. And then if the factory give an illegal dumping, illegal waste, we need they will get fined. So is there any, can you just brief us about what is the solution for the, what is citizen or what people, public people can do to make sure that we have a clean river, we have clean river?
Okay, the public should be responsible enough to dump their waste into a dump site that is already provided instead of dumping it into rivers or water reservoirs. This will definitely help in preventing pollution. So yeah, by another way is probably by recycling.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's a very open. Yeah, there is no specific answer. I just want to know your general answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone can answer. Yeah, I just want to hear the answer from all of you. Yeah.
So
Maybe Yasha can answer. I still remember, Yasha, you use your voice for the
yeah.
Yeah. Remember.
So I think that probably we can have like the government can host like campaigns or
Yeah, good.
like proper campaigns and to get the community like aware like what's happening, what's going on and all that, and what are the effects if people start dumping or polluting our rivers and oceans and stuff. So I think that'll be a good way to start lah.
Yep.
That's all, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, now can we move on to Ms. Jessica Shaw? Do you have any comments and questions?
I do. Thank you very much. Yeah, first, may I just agree with Dr. Azal there. It was a really good presentation. Well done, everybody. From my perspective, following on really from what's just been said, what is the awareness like of the general public around how this water pollution is happening? Do people know that by dumping their waste in watercourses that it is creating this problem? What's the level of general awareness in sort of the public?
I think the fact that water pollution is still happening very frequently, the level of awareness is not really high. So in order to increase our level of awareness, maybe we can carry out campaigns to spread awareness better.
Great, something like a social marketing campaign, perhaps. Wonderful, that's great. Thank you very much. That's it for me.
Thank you.
Great. And Prof. Mahadi, what do you think? Prof. Mahadi, do you have any comments or questions for the group?
You're mute, Prof. Mahdi. Yeah.
I just have a general opinion about the issue that you are presenting. I think the point here is that we can make things much more. We must reduce the generalization of the point here by maybe referring to a specific cases that appear that can be referred, because anything that we want to suggest will be concretely based on any case study or any data that you can refer to. So at the end of it, it will become a constructive and convincing opinion or suggestion that can be adapted no matter how small or how little. But at the end of the day, that will be counted. The rest, I think, the way you present it is, seem to be in order. The only element to inject further is the factual references on certain case, if there is any, especially in this area of Selangor. I happen to be living in Selangor, in Kajang, Selangor. That is most effective area as far as this water issue is concerned. We can pick up some report from the water supply department or the current report. Is going to be very helpful. The rest, I think, is well understood as far as what you have been attempt to showcase your topic. All right. Only that. No answer is actually needed. Just to share a perception from my side.
Thank you.
Can I add something from
Yes,
Prof. Mahdi? I strongly agree with Prof. Mahdi. I think for your team, the storyline is very good. But in the future, if you still need to present to someone, I think you can put another one slide, make one specific case study. For instance, last year in Klang, they stopped the water cut because of dumping, and what is the reason, and then what is the action from the government, and then make one case study so people will understand the situation. Yeah. That's my suggestion. Yeah, Prof.
All right. Okay. That's good. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the group goal takers. Now we will proceed to the next group, the Green Foundation. Are you ready? It's your turn to take the stage. Good luck.
we present the thing? A very good afternoon to the panel of the judges. My name is Gur Sonia Rajdeep Kaur and I am the president of the Green Foundation. Today, along with my marketing officer, Ms. Suvitra, my financial officer, Ms. Rakshana, and also my technology officer, Ms. Divya, we are going to discuss the case study, which is illegal logging in Malaysia, how to prevent it, what can be done, and how it could be done. Next slide. Next slide, please. Okay, first of all, I would like to explain what is actually the Green Foundation. The Green Foundation is our initiative, or may I say, is our one-step solution for us to ensure that there is a sustainable future, not only for us, but also for our future generation by integrating modern technology into the current agricultures. Next. As you may see here, our project SDG is focusing on SDG 15, which is life on land, and our community problem of the case study is illegal logging. As the definition of the SDG 15 is we need to protect, restore, and promote sustainable use of our ecosystem. We need to manage our forests perfectly, and we need to combat desertification, reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Next slide. To support our findings, the evidence is the trends of illegal logging. You may see here that Malaysia is at its highest peak of 14.4%. Here we can see that compared to the other countries, Malaysia is high when it comes to deforestation and also illegal logging. This needs to stop now in order for us to have a future for our children and also for the future upcoming generation. Next slide. Our target is what we want to achieve with the technology that we are going to introduce today is we want to integrate the smart technology that we have created into the agriculture sector in order for the agriculture sectors and the methods, the traditional methods to be replaced with the new technological methods that we want to introduce today. We want to reduce illegal logging and also have an effective tracking system, because when we constantly are changing our tracking system again and again, it is more costly and is even more troublesome for people to keep track of the trees and the lifelong of the trees. We want to restore the degraded forest in order for us to get back our balanced ecosystem as same as we had few years ago. Next slide. What are we achieving or what are we expecting from our technology today is we are expecting improvement in work quality. For improvement in work quality, we are talking mainly on the system itself, such as when we provide real-time data of the tree, we are expecting that the problem and the solution will also be given in real time instead of having us to take such a long time to come up with solution for the tree. For efficient forest government, we are hoping to increase the transparency in the bureaucracy of the forest government. And we also want to reduce and hopefully we can even bring to an end of the corruption that is in the bureaucracy of the loggings. Next slide, I would like to present to Ms. Suvitra Ganesan, my marketing officer, to take the stage. As we went through our expectation on the solution, it's time to introduce our newest and advanced solution for an issue that has been that our government has been facing for decades, that is illegal logging. Hi everyone, I'm Suvitra from Marketing Department of Green Foundation. The Green Foundation has brought an innovative solution called smartphone-based supply chain traceability system to control or prevent illegal logging. Wondering how it works? It's solely based on attached smart memory microchip. Our R&D department has collaborated with one of the best company out there in making a smart memory microchip, that is Micron Semiconductor Malaysia Sdn Bhd. They are located in Johor Bahru and they have 17 worldwide locations, 14 customer labs and 13 manufacturing sites. It shows their quality, specialization and their ability to unleash our ideas into reality by using
the current technology. Looking beyond to discover the functionality of our microchip against the current system in preventing illegal logging gives us hope and surety. Furthermore, we chose ProSyscom as our software developer as they are leading solution provider in information technology, especially in IT infrastructure and application development. Their flexibility in providing their customers customized solution with their product and service made our idea came into life. Next, I'll pass to Divya Karnan to explain what this system is all about and how it functions. Thank you.
A very good evening to all the judges. I'm Divya Karnan and I'm the Chief Technology Officer. So today I'll be presenting on how the integrations of technology can help to prevent illegal logging in Malaysia. So there are two things that I'll be demonstrating, which are the timber tracking system and the authentication system. So like my colleague mentioned earlier, the current tracking system is a paper-based tracking system. To improve the existing system, Green Foundation has introduced the smartphone-based supply chain traceability system, which enables the tracking of trees using electronic devices. So it's basically done by attaching a microchip onto it. So the microchip attached to the tree will have information such as tree diameters, height of the tree, species, and etc. The unique feature of the system is its ability to track the location of logs transported from the forest to the mill as it produces maps and statistics. Next slide. All right, so the screenshot on the right-hand side is basically the timber tracking software demonstration, which shows the origin of the timber. So like I mentioned earlier, it has informations like tree species, category, features of the tree, reference number, and so on. So timber tracking system is extremely beneficial because it demonstrates the legality of timber at each state, and it also reduces the risk of unverified timber entering the supply chain. Next. Now, other than that, Green Foundation has also introduced an identity verification system. So what it means is that forest areas are divided into quadrants and they are surrounded with tall fences with alarm system installed at the top of the fence. So before the officers in charge enters the quadrant, a facial recognition system will verify the officer's identity. So in cases where there is an unauthorized individual who passes through the fence, the alarm will go off. So again, when the alarm goes off, the on-site manager or authorities within the 5-kilometer radius will be notified. So that is why identity verification system is extremely important because it's the secured system which helps to prevent the trespassers from entering the forest. And by implementing this system, illegal logging can be prevented. Thank you, and my colleague will take it from here.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Rakshana Chani. I'm the Financial Officer of the Green Foundation. I'm going to talk about the collaboration of the Green Foundation together with other organizations. First of all, illegal logging is toll on people. Most of the people lose their livelihoods and their source of income due to this illegal logging. Not only that, it also makes the wild animal extinct. To save the forest, WWF, which is Worldwide Fund for Nature, have used several approaches to tackle illegal logging, but it is still in the process and it also still happening. So the Green Foundation will be collaborating with WWF to prevent illegal logging by implementing technology like timber tracking system to prevent illegal logging. Next slide. Besides that, we need fund and finance support. The example over here shows a project that carried out by April Group, which is Asia Pacific Resources International Limited at Riau, Indonesia. They have committed to $100 million of project on conservation and restoration plan. So by taking this opportunity, the Green Foundation will commit with April Group by allocating RM10 million to implement the technology that used to prevent illegal logging. Next slide. Okay. Not only this, but the April Group also conducting CSR activities to help the community and the country. They also have committed to a project that is called April 30, which is a April 2030 project. They have which is delivered to a positive impact on climate, nature, and people. This project is to achieve a zero carbon emission. Next slide. The resources are Malaysia's export market. As per shown here, where Malaysia's largest export market are Japan, Korea, India, USA, and China. Japan is consistently the largest export market of Malaysian plywood. Next. In conclusion, illegal logging should be treated from its roots as it involves the large amount of money that drives the trespassers to commit this crime. Not only this, it also caused the government to lose their revenue in forestry sector, which restrict the other development. Therefore, this project is a call to action to helping the government to integrate technology in the timber tracking system, which not only to achieve this, but also to achieving the SDG 15. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you. That was really interesting. Now let's hear some comments from the judges. Prof. Mahadi, you want to start first? What do you think?
Yeah, as far as the presentation is concerned, the factual and point that had been presented, I'm quite happy with that. The only thing, one aspect that you need to consider is to look at the impact, not only on the economy aspect, but also on the environment as well as the people surrounding certain area that where you have a lot of logging activities actually happening, because we are here not only talking about logging as about illegal logging, we must also touch on the aspect of logging activities itself, because in another aspect of responsibility of a nation is the what I call sustainability of the forestation or forest reserve, or the logging industry. The logging industry must also have sustained the environment. These are the point. I think we need to have a look at it too. Because, particularly, you are actually as a group of a foundation. A foundation is not only talking about making profit. It must also look into the benefit of the society or the nation in general. That is my general comment. Perhaps you have got some answer to it. Maybe you can explain further.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Mahadi. Dr. Izal, do you have anything to say or any questions?
Okay, can you go back to the slide that show about the Kampa spent 10 million, something like? I just want to understand that one. Can someone? No. More. Yes, no. Which one yang ada Kampa and 10 million?
The fund and finance.
The finance, yeah. No, next one. Next. Lagi satu. This one. Okay, all right. Committed $100 million over 10 years on conservation and restoration. Okay, I just want to understand the story of your presentation is okay, but you mentioned more on the product introduction, right? The timber tracking system. So where do you benchmark this product? Do you have any benchmarking, or you introduce yourself this product? Because the current process, they are using the manual paper-based, right? Like TBR said, current you are using paper-based that you put on, and then now we introduce the timber tracking system. Do you have any benchmarking to do this activity, or this is purely from idea from your team?
If I may answer that question.
Yeah.
This is basically something that we came up with because we have been seeing that the paper-based system is not really very effective. Like for the paper-based system, as now you see, the illegal logging, it is still going up. It's not coming down yet. So we came up with something like a system where we feel that this will be more, it will be more logical for the future upcoming generation, because now we are transferring everything into the technological era. So why should we leave our green trees behind?
All right. Okay, good. So the idea is purely from your team.
Yes, the idea is from our team.
Okay, good. All right. Basically, I'm a product innovation, head of product innovation. Basically, if you want to assess one product is good or not, we need to have 4 criteria. The first one is technical, whether this product is okay or not. So basically, you put you mean that this microchip we need to fit into all trees, right?
Yes, we need to attach to individual trees.
Which is, yeah, how is it difficult? Do you think it's difficult or it's easy? And then how long lasting that microchip can remain in that tree for how many years? I don't know. So maybe for technicality, maybe we have to know the technical point of view. And then the second one is financial, whether that microchip is cheap or not. Then whether the login, the app is expensive or cheap, and maybe you can make the affordable one. The third one is commercial, whether this can be commercial or not. People want to use your product or not. And the fourth one is the legal. So TFCL is the main criteria if you want to assess one product, one complete product. So TFCL, I think maybe you can make sure that your product meet these 4 criteria. So we can go, if you can justify this, your product can meet this technicality, financial, commercial, and legal. So maybe your product can go further. That's my comment.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Dr. Izal. Now, Jessica, Miss Jessica, what do you think?
Okay, thank you. I think I just really want to pick up on what the other judges have said, really. I've written down the same kind of things. For me, I would have liked a little bit of stronger data around the effects of illegal logging, perhaps on the sort of society, on the animals, that kind of thing would have helped for me. But generally speaking, it was really great to see that. I'm not an expert in product development, but the fact that you've come up with that idea yourself for me is quite impressive. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to the Group Green Foundation. Now we will move on to the next group, Earthlings. And for your information, we'll be having a short break after this, but now, Earthlings, you may start your presentation.
We got a drink. Can get drink.
Can the screen be viewed?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, can I start right now?
Yes, you can start.
Good evening, panel judges and fellow participants. I'm Rin Zahira, representing my team Earthlings, which consists of Jessica Zamzuri, Michelle Lim, and Arifa Alia for case study 3 in relation SDG 13 climate action. So let's begin with our introductions. Next, please, slide. Okay, we would distinguish the difference between what is flood and what is flash flood. Flood occurs when rain starts to overflow. Flood is considered as a natural phenomena, either dry land or water area. This also could happen due to a lack of water catchment areas. Next, what is flash floods? This usually happens when little drizzle of rain turns to severe deluge. This could also happen so fast as the soil could not absorb the rain quickly enough. So next. Many things could happen after post-flood, which could also damage the properties, monetary loss, and sometimes loss of lives. Flood is caused usually by heavy rain, human acts, for example, the dam creation, to control the water flow. Other than that, a severe flood can happen when the water is released from the reservoir and it exceeds the capacity of the channel. So next, my friend Arifa will present it for you guys.
Okay, so now that we know like the causes and how this flood impacts the society, we must also know that it threatens the whole urban landscapes as well as our rural areas. So therefore, we as Earthlings here have a solution to a flood-free nation. And this is by introducing a C2 system, which is combat and collect. It involves in 3 processes, which is the first one is smart water irrigation system, and the third one is Internet of Things. The second one is Internet of Things, which acts as a middleman between smart water irrigation, and the third step, which is a self-activating flood barrier system. This will be explained further in details in the upcoming slide. But before that, we should know that this C2 combat and collect system are designed as a shield to protect everyone at anywhere and at any point of time. It will interrogate with the use of smart water irrigation system, as well as self-activating flood barrier system, with both systems interacting via Internet of Things, IoT in short, as I've explained previously just now. So now I will be explaining further in details on the first process, which is the smart water irrigation system. As we all know, rain fluctuates yearly, monthly, or even weekly, like how it is in Malaysia currently. Recently, it's been raining very heavily, and it was just about a week or two ago that it was scorching hot. Everyone was complaining about the weather. But with this smart water irrigation system, when the land becomes dry, this technology will analyze soil moisture data to estimate watering requirements. And not only that, it protects landscape and crop quality, ensuring that there is no crop failure or very little crop failure. It promotes health and conditions of this plant while also reducing water waste. So it benefits 2 things at just one technology. And it is especially appropriate for small areas as well as large managed landscapes. So now that that's about smart water irrigation system, now this is the soil moisture. The soil moisture sensor is installed in the root zone. This is to determine the volumetric of water. The controllers here can be set to open valves and start irrigation only when volumetric water content reaches a user-friendly threshold. Now, in the next slide, my friend Michelle will be explaining further on Internet of Things. Over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Arifa. Good evening, fellow participants and panel judges. I will be explaining regarding the process of Internet of Things. So from the smart water irrigation system, how Internet of Things comes about is when the soil moisture sensor, as mentioned by Arifa earlier, detects a constant increase of high volumetric water content in the soil, primarily due to flood or maybe a really, really heavy rain. It collects this data to then transmit the signal to a nearby flood detection sensor through Wi-Fi. This flood detection sensor will then aid in boosting the signal transmission to ensure the signal reaches the self-activating barrier system underground, which is our third process. And as can be seen in the image shown, the flood detection sensor is going to be attached to nearby vicinity area on lampposts. So all these signals can then be received and transmitted no matter where you are, rural area or urban area. Next slide. For our third process, the self-activating flood barrier system, then the signal will be transmitted underground via Wi-Fi to the self-activating flood barrier system, which it will then prepare and run the submersible pump in the underground chamber. This aids also in ensuring that the flood barrier is activated before water reaches dangerously high levels. The best part of this system is it does not require any form of human intervention or power, since it runs on hydrostatic pressure. And how it works is the flood barrier system will then rise vertically as shown in the video beneath the surface. Immediately, it keeps out water, averting flood before they become too severe and endanger the life of others. This flood barrier system can also withstand all muds and pebbles, so it doesn't damage landscapes around it nor pavements that is surrounding it. Moving on, Jessica will be proceeding. Thank you.
Hello. Okay, now that my respected team members have already surfaced the issue, I will now be talking about ways to implement our C2 system. So first of all, the C2 system should be incorporated and prioritized for locations that are at high risk of being affected. Most importantly, the government, obviously it's known to be vital in maintaining an order within a society. So therefore, it is crucial to gain the support from our government to implement the C2 system through stringent regulations. Next, professional developers could be brought in once we have attained government's approval for smoothness in terms of our flow. And lastly, the government could enact land laws stating the need for property developments to include our sister system to ensure safety measures within a residence. Okay. Oh, okay. So now that I've already explained about our ways to implement it, I will now be moving on to our benefits of C2 system. Individuals and families does not have to worry about covering the front of their house with bags of waste or sand anymore. This is because that the sister system can be implemented instantly at a very low cost. From what Michelle has explained earlier, it can be using hydrostatic instead of like human source power. Moving on, and the entire process is carried out in an environmentally friendly manner from the start of the installation to the point of activating the system for flood management. And lastly, landscape and crops no longer have to be destroyed because of flood water collected and channeled through irrigation system that could be reused to irrigate them. Okay, I think that is all from our team. I guess we can move on to the Q&A session now.
Yes. Let's hear what the judges have to say. Miss Jessica, do you want to go first?
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. The first thing I really wanted to sort of ask really was, what is the size of this problem? You know, is this a problem that's limited to just Malaysia, or is it a bigger problem? I know we have flooding perhaps in Wales.
If I may address that question, this problem is, firstly, we were addressing, yes, the flood situation in Malaysia, but this problem can be implemented all over the world since all the three processes is already existing technologies. But what we were doing is integrating these technologies together to actually build a form of a new technology that can combat flood, no matter where you are, whether it's first world, second world, or third world country, because it's also very cost friendly to be implemented either individually or families or even in the government state. Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you. It's quite an ambitious project, but it's really interesting. And then lastly for me, you say on the slide before this one that you would, or that it would be installed completely environmentally friendly. What are you going to benchmark that against? What sort of things do you mean? What would you input in terms of making sure it is environmentally friendly?
Regarding the environmentally friendly part, it's because, as I've mentioned, all these systems are already existing. So we do not need to actually use new resources in order to go through the whole R&D stage and whatnot. So us actually trying to minimize having to utilize new resources, but already using existing one by integrating them. And also the fact that from our smart water irrigation system, what we're doing is we're trying to aid in sustainability in the form that all these flood waters will be diverted with our self-activating barrier system. Then when these waters are diverted, it will be channeled to our self-water irrigation tank, which will then, the water can be reused to water crops, landscapes. So if we were to think of it in a general way, the government would not need to spend much water on landscaping. Henceforth, is actually helping them to save water as well. And we can actually utilize the water resources instead of spending them so much on landscaping. Yeah, so what we're doing is we're just redirecting and then after channeling it to another use. So that's our sustainability aspect.
Wonderful, that's great. Thank you very much, that's it for me.
Thank you. What about Dr. Iza? Do you have any comments or questions for Earthlings?
Noreen, Arifa, Michelle, and Jessica. Okay, I think this is your idea, your pure idea from your team.
Yeah, we just know of all this system and we thought, why not? Let's just integrate all the benefits together.
Right.
Since no one actually feels it, and all this system can work symbiotically. So we might as well just do it. And with 5G being around already, and in Malaysia by 2021, that's our nation goal to reach 5G level. So why not we just do it since we're all technology driven?
Yeah, but I think it's not a low cost project actually, because you install it and then it require maintenance, for instance, right? And then flood to avoid flood annually, how many times? Maybe one or two, and then but you need to keep the maintenance over throughout the year. So, but I think it's a very good idea, but maybe for a particular area, like you said lah, it's not the whole Malaysia. Maybe we can at the place that very often have flood, for instance.
Yeah.
So we can apply this test. Nevertheless, this is your pure idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. That's all from me. Yeah, it is good, but I think it's complicated, but it's worth to try at this within a small area that have a very often flood at that area. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Your feedback.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Izzal and Prof. Mahadi.
I think there's a very clear case where we have one smart tunnel somewhere between Jalan Tun Razak and the Sungai Besi Road. That is a very clear example. And that kind of tunnel cannot be applied at any other kind of what you call situation in different type of road, in different hilly place and whatsoever. All different places require different form of handling, and that's number one. The other one is the aspect of the public role, the public interest. As mentioned by Dr. Izzal just now, the aspect of maintenance and the surrounding area will be the major part that need to be addressed, because we have a lot of variable in terms of the geographical situation in Malaysia, for example. If you go to the East Coast, you will encounter different kind of landscaping or land environment. And you go to the center of Malaya, for example, you are going to have this sort of Banjaran Titiwangsa, whatever you call it, the all sort of hilly and very high kind of places. This is quite interesting. If you were to look at the issue that the last government tried to build the train, underground train route from the East Coast to the West Coast. And that also will also involve this kind of study, if I'm not mistaken. So it is quite an interesting area that you are exploring for me. To make it much more interesting, you might want to widen. You can use the model of the smart tunnel in Jalan Tun Razak and the Sungai Besi Road as a model for your reference, because there's a lot of issue actually during the flood time. The tunnel is being closed, and what happened to the traffic area at that particular time when they closed the road. So that is I just give my general opinion, maybe to it's quite an interesting area to look in. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you to Earthlings. Thank you to the judges. Now we'll be having a short break. Please come back after 10 minutes. We may be back by 5:05. Yeah, 10 minutes. 5:05 p.m. here in Malaysia, and for Miss Jessica, 10:05 a.m. there in Wales. And we will have the 3 remaining groups to present. Thank you.
All right. You have to ring the bell when the time comes.
Coffee break first. Okay.
I'm going to take nasi
break.
lemak or roti canai. Okay.
Okay, all right.
Hello, everyone. We will begin. Please stand by. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am Atira, and I will continue this session with the other three remaining groups. Now, we have the group TSKC to present. Please welcome TSKC.
Sorry, can you hear me? Sorry, can you guys hear me? Yes, we can hear you. Okay. So a very good day to the judges, audience, and my fellow friends. So first of all, let me introduce myself and my teammates. So hi, I'm Chang Hong from TSKC, and over here are my teammates, Jawan, Kaling, and Yao. So we will be focusing on SDG 14 for our today's presentations. So among the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that encompass the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, adopted by the General Assembly in September 2015. So a standalone goal seeks to address the need for inter alia, the sustainable use and conservation life below waters. Goal 14. Conserve and sustainably use the ocean, seas, and marine resources for sustainable development. The ocean drives global system that makes the earth habitable for humankind. Our rainwater, drinking water, weather, climates, cosmics, much of our food, and even the oxygen in the air we breathe are all ultimately provided and regulated by the sea. So let's think about it. How could an environmental law reform on EQA 1974? What's the major issue equality between the pollutions and the water cuts? So now I will pass it to Kaling.
Thank you, TH. And good evening to everyone. I'm Kaling, and now I want to present about the current situation of pollution and water cut. Nowadays, the water pollution and water cut are getting more serious in our country. And there are many reasons cause water pollution, such as chemical waste, plastic, and radioactive waste. Besides that, the waste also affect the ecosystem and food chain. This is because the waste is consumed by aquatic animals like fish, which consumed by human. And this action can cause many diseases to humans, such as hepatitis, cholera, and so on. Because of the water pollution issues, the number of water cut also will increase. Then another reason cause water cut is drum malfunctions. In my research, water cut affect 1,292 areas, and the most frequently polluted river is Sungai Semenyih and Sungai Selangor. That's all for my part, and I will pass the mic to Jawan.
So hi everyone. First of all, I'm sorry for my mask. I'm currently in quarantine. So yeah, I apologize for that. So I will now continue with my part. First of all, let's find out what is the driving factor for our change. This is because clean water is the key necessity to a healthy lifestyle. As we all next slide, please. TH, next slide, please. Okay, so after this, we will be giving our group's main idea for our reformation on the EQA. So first of all, let's have a look if Malaysia has a law to protect its water sources. So the EQA, which is the Environmental Quality Act, was the law governing and managing our country's pollution levels for the past 46 years. The purpose of this act is to manage control of pollution and to enhance the quality of our environment. So, with all this, why does illegal dumping still occur so frequently? It is because the EQA is a 46-year-old law, and there will be some deficiencies that will not stay relevant in the current state of Malaysia. Next slide, please. Okay. Let's now talk about how we should implement change on the law. The main idea is to strengthen the legislation for our companies that is able to obtain their license. We can do this by rectifying the terms and conditions, and the entity should comply with upon obtaining a license for their operations, mainly those that will allow use of natural resources in our country. So why is strengthening the licensing law so important? This is because unethical companies are able to easily obtain their license. This is due to the lack of reinforcement on the licensing legislation. The main idea of reformation on the license law is because licensing is actually a very big part of the EQA, as seen in part 3 of the Act itself. So here we will give an example. At the end of 2019, most of the areas in Selangor, which is a highly populated unscheduled water crisis. In that case, it was classified as a water crisis instead of water cut, because the water cut issue extended for a consuming period of time. So the crisis was caused by illegal dumping of chemical wastes into the reservoirs, which cut off the clean water sources for the areas in Selangor and Kuala Lumpur, Kuala Lumpur is our country's capital city, which is definitely one of the highest populated areas in Malaysia. It is estimated that over 3 million users were affected by this crisis. So in conclusion, the objective of our reformation is to prevent further contamination to our rivers and oceans. Yeah, that's all for my part. I will now pass to Yao.
So for my part, I will talk about the impact that will bring to it. So what is the impact that will bring to every life if the environmental law being reformed? First, the number of water pollutants will definitely decrease due to strict licensing to the company. Next, poisonous and hazardous substances would not flow into the ocean because the government will check the background of company before approving it. This can also save the marine life and its habitat too. It can prevent them from being endangered species, and there are already 2/3 of sea animals' life being threatened. For example, the Galapagos green turtle is one of the endangered species due to plastic consumed by them. If this continues to happen, we can only observe them throughout both. Moreover, water cut will not happen frequently, which is problematic to households and businesses. They don't have to frequently walk out to get a pail of water or to fetch some water from the water tank. In our daily life, water is important and we use it to take bath, washing clothes, and others. Then the next slide. But what will happen if we don't implement the change? Those endangered species will eventually become extinct species, like the Cape penguin. The Cape penguin become endangered species because of human pollution and oil spill. The ecosystem will also be maintained as if one organism wipe out, the whole system will become imbalanced due to the food chain. That's all for me. Thank you. And got the references. Thanks.
Thank you. That's all for us.
All right, thank you, TSKC. Now let's move on to the Q&A session. Judges, would you like to give any comments or question? Can we start with Ms. Jessica?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, really interesting, especially to see the effects on wildlife and marine life. How do you think you'd go about putting pressure on the government to strengthen the legal requirements and kind of bring that level of enforcement around?
Sorry, Jessica, Miss Jessica, you were asking if there is a way to pressure the government into enforcing the law, right? So yeah, so in the past years, we have seen that one of the most effective ways is to get the citizens to sign a petition for this particular method. So if we get enough participants for the petition, we can somehow pressure the government into taking this issue more. Improve the quality of their citizens' lives, in my opinion.
That's great, lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, Prof. Dr. Mahadi.
Yeah, I just want to find out about education to the public. Do we have any scheme of study or education for the public to know about their responsibility as far as the water pollution is concerned? Because I regard this water pollution is a universal issue. Is the what you call responsibility of all category of population must understand their role, whether they are school children or working adult or elderly. They must know about their responsibility with regard to this pollution one. Do you have any facts or data about this education undertaken by the government or any institution?
Okay, for this, I think for data, I currently don't have any data on my part, but I can say for sure that in primary school, our teachers, one of the subjects was, I think, civic, and it teaches us about our parts in the society itself, which one of it means that we have to protect our environment in our country. So I recall, if I remember correctly, I remember that I have learned that we should never litter our rubbish into the rivers or any form of
okay. All right. Thank you.
These water bodies.
All right, thank you, Prof. Anything from Dr. Iza?
Okay, thank you, TSKC team, Teng Hong, Yawan, stay safe, okay, Yawan, Kaling and Yik Yao. Okay, so I just want to understand, your solution is only to propose reformation on EQA, right? Environmental Quality Act. So the solution is to propose a more strict or more stringent EQA for the water, right? I think maybe you can come with another solution, because I think we can propose more strict EQA, but I think the more important is more on the implementation and enforcement from the authority. So we can make a very stringent, strict act, but if nobody follow that act, no point. So maybe I would suggest maybe you can come with another solution. So I think the solution from your team is just propose reformation on EQA act, right? So yeah, I think there is another, maybe you can come up with another strong proposal how to save for the life below water. One of it is proposed reformation, but maybe we can come up with another solution. Just my comment. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you for your suggestion.
All right, thank you TSKC for the wonderful presentation, and take care, Sia Jaen. Now I would like to introduce to you the fifth group, which is the sparkling group. The sparkling, the stage is all yours. Good luck.
So is my slide visible for everyone?
Yep, we can view your slide.
Yep.
Okay, so let me start. Hi everyone, my name is Jaen and my team members are Kayang, Joey, and Angel. For our group presentation, I will start with a brief background on the flood and give an overview of both our recommendations, which are reforestation and also the sponge city. Then Kayang will further explain on the reason and ways to implement reforestation. Joey will continue with some part of the reforestation implementation, and Angel will present the ways of implementing sponge city. So basically, what we understand about flood. Flood is the most frequent type of natural disaster that occurs when an overflow of water submerges the usually dry land. Climate change has significantly affected the several water-related variables that causes flooding, such as heavy rainfall and rapid snowmelt. And some of our human activities, such as urban development, agriculture, and also deforestation, can increase the chance of flooding occurs as well. If we randomly pick one person and ask, which country is suffering flood recently? They may mention, oh, China or even Germany. However, in the same time, there is a monsoon rain that caused a landslide and flash flood in refugee camp in the southeastern Bangladesh. Thousands of people actually lost their home. And according to the district administrator Mamunur Rashid, there are at least 20 people were killed due to this natural disaster, and it includes 3 children in it. This flood has affected more than 21,000 of the refugees and nearly damaged and destroyed 4,000 shelters. The deputy head of UN International Organization for Migration also mentioned this situation may get worse than before due to the heavy rainfall expected in the following days. From this case, we can know how flood brings a negative impact to the nation. It not only kills people and damage the infrastructure, but it may also lead to economic loss and erosion. So how are we going to solve this problem? What we can do to avoid from suffering the natural disaster again and again? As mentioned earlier, we propose 2 solutions to achieve the goal of flood-free nation. First is reforestation. Reforestation basically is the process of replanting trees in the forest area that has been destroyed or damaged for the benefit of mankind. It can be considered as afforestation as well, whereby instead of planting trees in the damaged or destroyed area, but in a new and suitable planting area. Both are the same idea, which bring the benefit to mankind by preventing natural disaster. And our second solution is sponge city. Sponge city is an urban construction model that early introduced in China by Professor Yu Kongjian in 2015. It specifically focused on flood management by using the pervious pavement, the rain garden, the green roof, the urban wetland, and other innovation to absorb the water during the heavy rain. And this implementation able to improve the water and air quality, reduce the water waste, reducing the urban heat island effect, and the most important point is reduce the frequency and severity of flood. So now I will pass to my team members to detail explain on why we suggest the solution and how to implement it.
Okay, so the first reason we recommend the reforestation solution is because of the increase in the population. So a large number of the trees were chopped down by the developer for the purpose of urbanizations, industrializations, and so on. But the reforestation can solve this issue because it has higher water absorption and it can undergo 10% of the water runoff, 40% of the water evaporates, and around 50% of the water infiltrates into the soil. And the second reason is that the leaf of the trees are very helpful in preventing the floods. It can reduce a large number of the raindrops that are directly flowing into the ground and buffer the speed of the raindrops. So it will not cause the landslide when it rains heavily. And the last reason is that the roots of the trees plays an important role also in flood control. When a tree grows, right, the roots will form the channel in the soil to take roots and consolidate the soil, which help to prevent the rainwater from flowing directly into the river. And then how to implement the reforestation to reach out to flood-free nations. So the first is that people should analyze a suitable area to implement the reforestation project, since trees require a long period to grow. So when the particular place has been selected as the reforestation area, it should be defined as a restricted area to avoid the reforestation project being affected midway. But the sufficient sunlight, water availability, nutrients, and oxygen supply are still the important criteria to consider. And next, the second method is to choose a suitable soil for the reforestation area. Because the different types of the soil have differences in terms of composition, density, and structure. For better oxygen infiltrations, the sand soil is a good choice because it contains a lot of space between each grains that allow the nutrients and water to easily flow through the soil. But the best soil for the plant growth is the loam, which is composed of 40% of the sand, 40% of the silt, and 20% of the clay. It not only allows the oxygen to permeate, but also maintain the nutrients and moisturize well. After that, the third method is that people should analyze the appropriate distance before planting the trees. Otherwise, the trees will not get enough nutrients to grow, and the trees will fight for the nutrients as well, thereby making the trend of the tree grow unbalanced. And the optimal distance between the tree depends on the size. For example, small tree may need about 6 to 15 feet apart, but the medium trees such as hemlocks may need about 30 to 40 feet, while the large trees need a distance of 40 to 50 feet. So that's all for me, and my next teammate will start for the fourth method. Thank you.
Okay, so apart from what my team member Kai mentioned, we also can organize a countrywide planting event which encourage Malaysian, especially the children, to be involved in this event so that the children can learn the importance of planting seeds more, and they can take part in this event by providing seed or donating money for buying seed instead of participating in this planting event. And other than that, we also can spread information which is related to the importance of tree to wake up people's awareness or obligation. And moreover, we also can create app which can allow people to collect points to exchange real tree. So when people buy things online, they will be received 1 point when spending for every 1 ringgit, and 5,000 points can redeem a real tree which we will help them to plant in the reforestation area. So reforestation is not only the government responsibility, but also the responsibility of each citizen to protecting their country. And reforestation is a natural and low-cost solution which fully utilizes natural resources to help in reducing and eliminating floods. So our second recommendation is the smart city. We implement smart city is because implement smart city can make urban area absorbent, and the absorption of smart city not only helps cities avoid the severe effects of the flood, but also help the citizen to create more clean water. In addition, smart city also help to reduce the burden on drainage and water supply network, and this is quite important because drainage and water supply network are playing an important role in collecting and discharging surface water or groundwater to keep the ballast bed drained. And other than that, according to research, if compared with the conventional urban flood control model and the smart city model, the smart city only discharges less than 40% of water, but the conventional model discharges more than 80% of water, which easily cause flooding. So from here, we can know that smart city is a good idea to reach flood-free nation.
So other than Joey mentioned, smart city project also help restore ecosystem and stimulate the natural water cycle. It brings a series of benefits to downstream communities like flood prevention, sediment prevention, and water purification. This all will help to reduce the water equipment maintenance costs. Moreover, we will notice that in previous roads, buildings, and sidewalks in traditional city interfere with the natural water cycle. However, smart city are allowed to naturally capture, slow, and filter rainwater. Next, we will explain about how we can implement the Smart City project. First, free up a space for planting trees, building rain gardens, and parks before building a city. This means do not just focus on build entirely and try to keep green state in mind. This is because this concept will help water seep into the ground within 24 hours during rainfall. Before planting, we should consider to plant the tree and shrub that can soak the roots for a long time, selecting plants with high water tolerance, testing the coil composition, and planting grasses that can more fully absorb and better drainage before planting. Then developers can plan to lay roof trough on the roofs and houses or buildings which can provide a rain buffer. Root trough can absorb 80% of the rainwater by buffering water in plants, substrate, and drainage layers. It also helps delays the discharge of rainwater into the sewer system by also pulverize rainwater and evaporate due to the plants. In addition, root trough can help stabilize the groundwater level and reduce the peak load of the sewage system. Last but not least, green pavement. Green pavements can be built in parking lots, streets, sidewalks, residence area, and more. The green pavement plays an important role in natural filtration and flood prevention. For natural filtration, green pavement helps to remove pollutants, impurities in the water, and preventing water pollution when the rainwater passes through its base layer. In order to prevent flood, green pavement can help prevent flash floods by absorbing water instead of directing it to the drainage system or accumulating on the surface. Then I will pass back to Jaen to conclude our presentation.
Okay, so to achieve the goal of developing a flood-free nation is the responsibility of every one of us. We would like to end our presentation with the quote from Petron and Kovac. We cannot stop natural disaster, but we can arm ourselves with knowledge. So many lives would not have to be lost if there was enough disaster preparedness. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much, Ms. Sparkling. Now let's move to the Q&A session. Can we start with Dr. Iza?
Okay, thank you, Sparkling team, Kayang, Angel, Jayan, Joey. All right, I think I like your storyline. Very smooth. Everyone presented very well. I think last time I gave you quite high mark when you present your video, but for your slide, I think Jian, if you go to the first one, background, you only put background. I think you can you go to the first slide, or the second one? I think, yeah, okay, background, right? In this background, you mentioned about the flood, the climate change, right? I think it's better for you to use this slide to put some bullet point for the flood, climate change, because you explain with only this slide, you explain about the flood and climate change, right? I think better put some bullet point, because if people cannot hear what you said, they can see the points. They can see the points. And also the next slide, the recent case, Southeastern Bangladesh, also this one, I think better to put some points in this slide, so people can throughout your explanation, they can get the points. I think, yeah, I think the Kayang, Joey, and Angel slide, okay, but I think Jayan, your slide when you presented, I think maybe you can put some more bullet points for your slide, okay?
Thank you, Doctor.
That's all for me. The rest is okay, very good, and then all the, I think, full of content, and then very clear. Thank you. Just improve the slide, okay?
Thank you, Dr. Iza. Now, Ms. Jessica, do you have anything to say?
Yes, I do. Yes, same for me really. In terms of the first two slides, I was a little bit lost because those are quite important like justification points, and I kind of missed them. So yeah, that would be great for me. But generally, absolutely love the ideas. I have to say, it's the kind of thing that everybody can get involved in, no matter whether you are just somebody at home with your backyard space or whether it's an organisation. For me, I'd like to know a bit more, if this were to continue, about what sort of organisational structure would take that forward, whether it be an initiative or whether it be a social enterprise or that kind of thing. But generally speaking, I really enjoyed that. Thank you. And diolch.
Thank you, Ms. Jessica. And now last, Prof, do you have anything to say?
I think I'm quite happy with what is being presented. The only aspect, again, because this is my area of focus, the role of the majority of the people, especially the NGOs, we can identify their role in making things happen. It's not about the government responsibility only. It is also about the people and the group that are presenting the same interests, especially the NGOs. We can identify the type of support and work contributed by the non-government organization will make things more completed. I also agree with what was requested by Dr. Izal just now about putting it in the form of a bullet point, because that will make things much clearer, as well as helping people to understand the balancing element of all the elements that we are putting in this presentation. Okay, the rest are all okay, good, yeah.
All right, thank you, judges, for the comment. Thank you for your presentation, the Sparkling. Now we have the last group, which is the group of foundation students, Team Ye, to present their case study solution. Team Ye, you may proceed now. All the best.
Sorry, but can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
I'm going to start. So a very good day to our esteemed judges and whoever is watching. We are Team A, which consists of Sonia, Shannon, Tarini, and lastly me, Lakshna. And the SDG that we chose today was the 11th one, which was the Sustainable Cities and Communities. And the case study given to us was how will Malaysia's revolution in public transportation enhance its role in lowering carbon emissions with types of more affordable personal vehicle made available? How to green the transportation sector. Next slide, please. So our solution plan comes in two phases, where in the first phase, before greening the transportation sector, we plan to increase the usage of public transportation. Now, why do we have to do that, and how do we do that? With that, I'll pass the stage to Tarini and Shannon to explain more about it.
Okay, we all know that there are people who utilizes public transportations globally for their own needs, right? So we could say efficiently too, but there are some who don't for some reason. So let's see what are those reasons that keep running in their head to make such decisions. First and foremost, their main complaint was about time. They feel like it is too much of time consuming to take a longer route than they usually do if they travel by themselves. For example, like the train route would be longer and takes a lot of time to reach their destination. And when it comes to bus journey, they have to wait until the bus crosses other stations one by one to reach another one. So basically, it is a time waste for them to wait for their turn when they already have plans for the rest of their day. Time also affects them in other ways, like when they experience delays. Well, all of us, right, we must have gone through this at some point in our life. When you're waiting for a bus or a train at KTM station for so long, when it is supposed to be there already, if we follow the schedule. This is usually because the vehicle stops at the transfer point longer than the allocated time. The data that we have collected has also helped us to understand that sometimes the passengers would miss departures because they got the wrong time information, and this kind of misinformation would occasionally lead to delays in their plans too. So this could be another reason for them to avoid public transportations. There are also few who are concerned about the price ranges in public transportation service. This might be too much for someone or whomever that literally depends on public transportation services throughout their life. Okay. There are also some scenarios where passengers will be denied of boarding due to overcrowding. I would say this is because the public transportation services are not frequent enough to transport that many people at the same time. So I will pass this to Shannon so she can explain further about the solution for phase 1.
Thank you, Tarani. Okay, so now I'll be explaining how do we increase the usage of public transport. Okay, the first thing we have to know is that we have to take a country for an example. So we're using Hong Kong and Seattle just because these two countries, they demonstrate a very good example of what a very systematic of public transportation can be. So in Hong Kong, majority of the population don't even bother to use their own public transportation system. I mean, their own public transport. So they would use and opt for a public transportation instead. So why do they make it so good? How can they make it so good, and what attracts these customers? The first thing is they will offer low fares. So with the low fares, a lot of people can afford it. So everyone would prefer to use it. And they will also make it comfortable. So there is a good seat space, there's enough leg room, and everything is comfortable. And then another very important thing is the well schedule. So they would make it well scheduled, and they'll use very efficient and quick routes to ensure that people get to their destination faster. And also when, of course, sometimes the routes might get blocked or an accident might occur or land problems. And then with that, they will update the public on the situation to let them know that, okay, this route has been blocked, so this station has been cancelled or something like that. And they will update this in real time, maybe through apps or something like that. And then that leads me to my next point. It makes it efficient. So everyone knows, okay, I cannot sit here anymore. I'm going to go to another station. And then with that, everyone knows that they're not going to do that. So everyone would be aware, and it won't waste anyone's time. And then they also make it efficient so people get to the places faster, and they will increase the frequency of all the stations and buses so that no one has to wait too long, maybe an hour or 30 minutes for a bus to come. And then they would make it efficient by, let's say the train station is connected to the bus station is connected everywhere. So you don't have to take like a side transportation in between. You don't have to take a train and then from there you take another 30 minutes just to get to the bus station, because that would eat up people's time. And that concludes the phase 1. And now we'll talk about phase 2. I pass this to Lakshana.
Thank you, Shannon. So in the phase 2, this is where we will be actually greening the transportation sector. So for that, Shannon, next slide. I'll be talking about biomethane. So next slide. So what is biomethane exactly? So biomethane is a naturally occurring gas that is produced by the so-called anaerobic digestion of organic matter. Now, what is organic matter? Like what kind of organic matter I'm talking about? So I'm talking about dead plants and dead animals, or it can also source from human waste such as food waste, sewage waste, and agricultural waste. Now, biomethane is actually gaining popularity all over the world as a replacement for natural gases. Next slide, Shannon. Now, why did we choose biomethane? So number 1, it is a renewable energy. So as you know, natural gases is actually classified as a fossil fuel, where biomethane is actually defined as a green source of energy. And like the name suggests, fossil fuels derived methane is produced from thousands or millions of years of fossil that remains, which are remains of organic matter that lies deep buried into the ground. Now, biomethane, on the other hand, are produced from fresh organic matter, hence it makes it a renewable source of energy, then that can be produced and used worldwide. So the second reason why we choose biomethane is it reduces landfill. How? So, okay, well, food wastage is another big ASEAN's biggest issue, and most of the food wastage ends up in landfills. And as you guys already know, landfills are really bad for the environment. So instead of that, why not we use the waste products to something good? So next slide, Shannon. So to conclude it all, biomethane is a green production, and did you know it actually reduces carbon emissions by 85%, hence less pollution to the earth. and it also is a it also has a low cost production, where, as you know, biomethane is chemically identical to natural gases. So all we have to do is just replace the natural gases with this biogas. And lastly, no complex technology is needed to create this biomethane, hence no technological issues either. So with that, I'll pass to Sonia.
Right. So thank you, Lakshana. So with what Lakshana explained, I'm going to elaborate further on what we're going to do with this biomethane. Now, what is our plan exactly with this biomethane? As you guys know, in ASEAN, we use a lot of motorized vehicles as our public transport. So for example, in Malaysia, we have buses like MRT buses and the Rapid KL. We also have taxis, and all these are motorized vehicles that uses petrol, which is a type of fossil fuel. Now, our plan is to replace the fuel with biogas, and for that, we need to renovate our current existing petrol bunks so that we can provide the public with 100% compressed biogas. This project is currently running in Bristol, where there has been an investment of $28 million into the scheme over 3 years. It is partially funded by the government grant of $4.79 million. So with that, we kind of get an idea of how much the cost would be in order to make this project a reality. So that is all from me. I'll pass it back to Shannon.
And that is it. So to conclude, there's 2 phases to our plan. The first phase is to increase the usage of public transport. And once that usage is increased, we'll then green the public transportation system. And that is the end of our presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tini, for your presentation. Now we have the last Q&A session. Judges, do you have any comments or questions? Maybe we can start with Prof. Dr. Mahadi.
Yeah, I just have a very general comment, not a comment, just a very general opinion about this issue. The issue here is about having a quality system and services for the public to make sure we have a clear direction of a transportation system that is in line with our objective for the future. The way I look at it, it is on the way. Actually, it's about having much more dependency on the hybrid and electrical kind of motorization vehicle whatsoever. Although this aspect is not popular enough, but it is ongoing. I found out there's some vehicle manufacturers actually coming in to see how the situations are, and we can emphasize on this one. There was one line just now you were mentioning about if we are going to apply all these things, we don't have any, we won't be having a challenge of technological aspect or services whatsoever. But in my opinion, this development to have a much more reliable kind of transportation, it will definitely based on the technological innovation as far as transportation is concerned. But then still, it is at a very right timing, in my opinion, for us to focus on this one and develop further as far as transportation of this nature is concerned. I think that is my general opinion about what you have presented just now. Okay.
All right, thank you, Prof. Dr. Izal, do you have any comments or questions?
Okay, I think I like the storyline, and then the public transport, encourage the public transport, but maybe in Malaysia more on the dense area like in Klang Valley and so on, right? Because Malaysia is very huge area, maybe in the pedalaman, in kampung, it's very difficult to apply that public transport. And then the biomethane also, I think, is a good initiative, but not so green yet, biomethane, because it still contain carbon actually. So maybe you can have a look into hydrogen, for instance, because hydrogen is more green, it's greener, because there is you need hydrogen. Even now, the Toyota Mirai, for instance, they have a fuel cell car, which is you just need a hydrogen, and then from fuel cell generate electricity, and then the emission is water vapor, so H2O. So there is no carbon emission in the value chain of hydrogen. So I think this is a good thing to explore more on the hydrogen. But nevertheless, biomethane also is good for, instead of we use the internal combustion engine, biomethane is one of the technology that good for environment and sustainability. So from me, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Izal. Lastly, Ms. Jessica, do you have anything to say?
I do. Thank you very much. Very interesting. I particularly liked your presentation. The animations in the background were really interesting. So thank you very much for that. I think it's, again, a really sort of ambitious idea, really, in terms of the fact that transportation is quite unsustainable as it is at the minute, but there are so many vehicles out there. It'd be such a huge project, but it's really interesting to see your take on things, and I just want to thank you very much. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Jessica.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Team Ye, for your presentation. All right, now we're at the end of our session. Once again, thank you so much to the judges for the comments. And wow, I must say, those were some impressive presentation, right? By our groups. And I believe we all gained plenty of insightful knowledge from all the groups. Once again, I want to thank to the judges, Dr. Izal, Ms. Jessica Shaw, and also Prof. Dr. Mahadi for making their time to evaluate and join us for this event. It is an honor to have you and all participants to make this a successful event. We will calculate your result given by the judges, and we will announce the top 3 winners on the 24th August on Tuesday. We will announce the winners through your email and also our Instagram post. Now let's hear for the exciting part, which is the cash prize. For the 3rd place winner, they will receive RM 100 ringgit of cash prize. For the 2nd place winner, they will receive 200 ringgit cash prize. And the champion of the A-FSL competition for IUMW level, they will receive RM 300 ringgit, and they will become the representative of IUMW for the A-FSL level, ASEAN level competition. For those who participate, all the participants who joined the A-FSL, don't worry, you will also receive an e-certificate for participation. But give us some time to send out all the e-certificate to you after the competition. For those who are taking COCO, we'll try our best to send them out before the report submission deadline. Now, can we have a quick photo session before we end? Please switch on your cameras. Aisha, are you ready?
Yes. Okay, everyone ready?
Okay, all right, ready.
Okay, second, all right. Everyone ready, yeah? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Another one. 1, 2, 3. All right, that's all. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Aisha. On behalf of PAA team, I would like to thank everyone once again. Huge thank you to the judges for spending your time with us on this lovely Sunday, and we truly appreciate it. Please follow our Instagram and subscribe us on our YouTube channel for more updates on our upcoming event. We will leave the details in the chat box. We have come to the end of the session. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.